Good afternoon and welcome to What's Brewing Wisconsin. Well, the picture behind me is what used to be the post office and customs house in Chicago. But not long after this photo was taken, it was transformed into something completely different and spectacular. So how does a building in Chicago become an iconic landmark in Milwaukee? Well, check it out.
I grew up in Milwaukee, and every time I drove by, I'd see that big dome, and I used to think, I gotta stop in there one day. It happened one Sunday. My wife and I and our children, we just happened to be down here right before the 10 o'clock mass, so we walked in, and to describe my reaction is I was awestruck. A place of such magnificent beauty, and it's right here in my backyard. Well, welcome to Basilica St. Josephat. My name's John Lenchek, and I'm one of the docents here. It's my privilege to tell you a little bit about the art, architecture, and history of this magnificent and beautiful church. Between 1870 and 1890, the population of Milwaukee tripled, and Polish immigration had a lot to do with that. And a lot of them joined St. Josephat's, so much that by 1895, St. Josephat's had 12,000 members. Father Grutza knew he needed a bigger church, and as you'll see, Father Grutza, he thought big. Well, Father had his plans, but this was a parish of very poor immigrants. How was he going to pay for a structure like this? That's when Providence intervened. Father learned that they were going to tear down a post office and customs building in Chicago. It was a relatively new building, but because it was sited poorly, it was literally falling apart. Father learned he could get that building deconstructed and shipped up here for $20,000. Now that was $30,000 less than the stone would have cost if he'd done everything new. So they tore that building apart, loaded it up on 500 railway flat cars, offloaded it at a spur a few blocks east from here, put it on horse-drawn wagons, and stored them in the lot across the street. Work began in 1896. Throughout the construction of the church, there was an army of volunteers working on the place. Men and women would be working all day, then they'd come here to work on the basilica. There are stories of women even loading up their aprons, carrying dirt away. So they started in July of 1896, and they completed it in 1901. So when this dome was completed in 1901, it was the 5th largest dome in the world, larger than, say, even the famed Taj Mahal. First dome in the United States, built with an iron framework, and it is a marvel. In the very center, you'll see clear glass. It's crystal, imported from Geneva, Switzerland. The very corners, I forgot to mention, you'll see 8 paintings taken from the life of St. Francis, right? This is a Franciscan church, so they had to get their guy in here. So even though Father Grutza did everything he could to keep costs down, his parishioners said he could make $1 do the work of 5, this church was deeply in debt. In today's dollars, about $25 million, and every month I bet that number goes up. So the parish couldn't pay for it. The diocese couldn't pay for it. It was that point that the Archbishop contacted various religious orders to see if any of them would be willing to take over the administration and assume the debt for the basilica. In 1910, the Franciscans agreed to do so. And since that time, St. Josephat's has been a Franciscan parish. By 1925, the entire debt was retired. It was that point the pastor, Father Barron, decided to fulfill the vision of the founders. Professor Raji came here in 1926. He led a team of 12 artists that produced all the oil paintings and everything else you see in this church that were cemented in place. He completed that work in 1928, and in 1929, St. Josephat's was elevated to the level of a basilica. There are about 94 basilicas in the United States today. St. Josephat's was the 3rd. So how does a church become a basilica? It has to meet certain criteria. One, it has to be a place of active worship. It has to have art and architecture worthy of the elevation, and also be of historical significance to the community. Anyone is welcome to tour the basilica, of course. We have a tour after every 10 o'clock mass. So if you want to attend mass here and hear the amazing choir and see this beauty firsthand, I highly recommend doing that. As a Catholic, of course, I'm amazed by the place, but I think anyone of any faith coming in here can appreciate the beauty. This church is such a benefit to the city of Milwaukee. It is one of the most highly rated destination spots in the city. So I think everyone has a stake in this church and keeping it the amazing place it is.
See the Basilica of St. Josaphat in person. It is breathtaking. For questions about tours, mass times, gift shop hours, please see thebasilica.org/visit.